Dangerous. Philippines gets giant anti-bomb armored combat weapons from U.S. U.S. and Philippine officials announced new programs to enhance their defense and security cooperation this week, which includes $500 million of foreign military financing from Washington to help the Philippine military and Coast Guard improve their territorial defense missions. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and Secretary of State Tony Blinken joined their Philippine counterparts, Secretary of National Defense Gilbert Teodoro and Secretary of Foreign Affairs Enrique Manalo, for the fourth Philippine-U.S. 2+2 ministerial dialogue this week in Manila. We are poised to deliver a once-in-a-generation investment to help modernize the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Coast Guard. We're working with the U.S. Congress to allocate $500 million in foreign military financing to the Philippines, Austin said. This level of funding is unprecedented, and it sends a clear message of support for the Philippines from the Biden-Harris administration, the U.S. Congress, and the American people. The $500 million investment into the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine Coast Guard will be guided by a bilateral working group and the Philippine Security Sector Assistance Roadmap. Through the committee and roadmap, the two countries want to find gaps in Philippine forces to prioritize defense investments and procurements. While Manila committed to a 15-year-long military modernization program in 2012, lack of funds, political incentives, and the COVID-19 pandemic have hampered efforts to reorient the country's military to external security operations. The security roadmap will inform the delivery of priority platforms over the next 5 to 10 years, reads a statement from the AFP. Neither U.S. nor the Philippines mention specifics on what capabilities would be prioritized. In the past, Manila has highlighted the need for more warships and new fighter jets as it prepares for the next phase of its modernization program. Austin said the Pentagon would double its investment into military bases across the Philippines designated under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. Under this year's budgetary request, $128 million has been slated for the 9 sites cleared to host U.S. troops and American-funded projects. Washington's investment into these bases has prioritized the building of airfield infrastructure, with Basa Air Base receiving the lion's share of funding to date. It was also announced that the U.S. Agency for International Development will use one of these sites to host humanitarian supplies to rapidly provide humanitarian assistance in times of need. The high-ranking meeting came on the heels of a severe incident on June 17th between Philippine and Chinese forces at the Second Thomas Shoal, a disputed South China Sea feature claimed by both countries. Beijing began to disrupt Philippine resupply missions to the shoal last summer using water cannons, long-range acoustic devices, rammings, blocking maneuvers, and boarding actions against Philippine Coast Guard patrol boats and Navy-operated vessels. In response to these tensions, the Philippines has stepped up security cooperation with foreign partners, including Japan, Australia, and the U.S. Blinken called out China's behavior in the region, highlighting Beijing's escalatory actions in the South China Sea, and his exchange with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang He in Laos this month regarding a recently announced agreement on the resupply of BRP Sierra Madre, LT-57, at Second Thomas Shoal. China must uphold its commitments to not obstruct the Philippines in their resupply missions, Blinken said. The June 17th incident at Second Thomas Shoal, involving aggressive actions by Chinese forces against Philippine resupply missions, has significantly heightened tensions in the South China Sea. In response, the Philippines has actively sought to bolster its security alliances with nations such as Japan, Australia, and the United States. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has condemned China's increasingly dangerous and unlawful activities in the region, emphasizing the United States' commitment to uphold freedom of navigation and support its allies. The June 17th confrontation saw Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia forces employ aggressive tactics, including the use of water cannons, long-range acoustic devices, ramming maneuvers, and boarding actions against Philippine vessels attempting to resupply the BRP Sierra Madre, a grounded World War II-era ship serving as a Philippine outpost on the shoal. Notably, Chinese personnel seized Philippine small boats and firearms during this encounter, actions that Philippine military officials have denounced as piracy. In the aftermath, the Philippines has intensified its diplomatic efforts to counter China's assertiveness. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. addressed Southeast Asian leaders, expressing concerns over continued harassment and intimidation by China, and underscored the urgency of establishing a code of conduct to manage disputes in the South China Sea. The United States has reaffirmed its support for the Philippines, citing mutual defense obligations that could be invoked in the event of armed attacks on Philippine forces, ships, or aircraft in the South China Sea. This stance aligns with the broader U.S. commitment to ensuring freedom of navigation in the region, challenging China's expansive territorial claims. Despite these tensions, there have been instances of successful resupply missions to the BRP Sierra Madre without confrontation, attributed to a rare agreement between China and the Philippines aimed at reducing violent encounters. This agreement allows the Philippines to conduct resupply operations without prior notification to China and prevents Chinese forces from inspecting the deliveries. However, challenges persist as the Philippines grapples with policing its extensive maritime territory amidst China's aggressive actions. The Philippine government is exploring a combination of diplomacy, technological advancements like drones and autonomous vessels, enhanced naval infrastructure, and updated maritime laws to safeguard its interests. The international community continues to monitor these developments closely, recognizing the potential for escalation and the broader implications for regional stability. Efforts to establish a binding code of conduct for the South China Sea remain a critical focus to prevent further conflicts and ensure adherence to international law.